Good morning and welcome to our Draycir Credit Hound webinar. My name is Darren Tolley and I'm an account manager here at EBS. EBS have been delivering IT services and support for over 42 years and we're based near Spaghetti Junction in Birmingham. We have two divisions. The first basically is involved in delivering and maintaining high quality secure infrastructure solutions and managed services covering such things as IT security, cloud applications such as Microsoft 365. The other division is involved in the delivery of professional services, deploying Sage 200 and Sage 50 business management solutions for organizations such as wholesalers, distributors, manufacturers and service organizations, all of which is backed up by a qualified Sage support team for when you encounter issues or have queries during your everyday usage. In addition to Sage software, we develop bespoke applications and work with independent software vendors to add functionality to meet the specific needs of your business, which leads me on to why we're here today. I'm joined by Sam Steer from Draycir, who will be showing you how Credit Hound helps automate your credit control process. Over to you, Sam.
Perfect. Thank you, Darren. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. Now, a bit of housekeeping before we start. Everyone's going to be on mute, but if you would like to ask any questions, please just write them in the chat and Darren will ask them towards the end. Okay. And if you would like to see us in more detail at another time, then again, get in contact with Darren or any of the team at EBS and we can schedule a private one-on-one demo. Perfect. So I'm going to share my screen and hopefully you can all now see this Credit Hound for Sage presentation. Cool. So like Darren said, I'm still partner manager of Draycir, so I work with EBS. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you a very brief overview of who we are, what we do, and then we're going to dive into Credit Hound itself and see how it can help automate your credit control functionality in Sage. So very quickly, a little bit about us. We have been around for 20 years now, Draycir, in the channel. We've won multiple awards. We have customers all over the world. We're used by tens of thousands of organizations and have 100,000 plus users worldwide of any of our software. So we know what we're doing. We've been around the block a little bit, and so our expertise in this area is really, really renowned within the channel. Perfect. So what do we do? Well, we do a few things. So firstly, we do our document management suites. This is comprised of distributing your documents out of Sage and also capturing them back in. We also have a self-serve module for customers to look at their own documentation within a portal. We have Credit Hound, what we're going to be looking at today, to automate the credit control processes. And then we have some other bits here. So we have an Excel connector into Sage, a report scheduler that was, as it sounds, schedules your reports within Sage. And finally, a document recognition module, which will automatically archive your documents. Oh, so we're not going on to that one. So if I dive in to my demo set, so Credit Hound, as you can see, lives here and it sits next to your Sage 200, your Sage 50, whatever it is you're going to be using. And it's basically just double click, it's a password, username and password entry, and you open it up into this screen here. So what I'm greeted with in Credit Hound when I first open it up is all the key data and metrics I need as a manager or as a credit controller that influence how my day-to-day looks. So if we look around this dashboard here, we can see who's been paying me, any disputed invoices I've got, what my total outstanding debt is, who's got my money, and in what status is it in, so overdue, not due, disputed, non-allocated. I can see where my money is, so how much of that total debt is in the overdue section, how much is in, not due or disputed or non-allocated. I can also see a mini age debt, so I can see exactly what's going on with my age debt right here. So we don't need to run reports anymore for age debt, we can have it here. And finally, your promised cash that we can track within Credit Hound itself, which is a really powerful little metric to have. So basically, how do we achieve this automating of your credit control processes? We do it through what we call rules. And if I just make this a little bit bigger for everyone to see, let's drag that into point there. So you can see here we have these rules. These are just bog standard ones we've set up for demonstration purposes. You can have as many rules as you want running at any one time. And you can see here each rule has a name, it has a severity, and then it has criteria for when it will run. So this preemptive letter here is a very mild letter, and we write to invoices that are due within the next 5 days. So they're not actually overdue invoices yet. We're going to chase them just beforehand and give them a little bit of nudge in paying. So that will just run automatically. When an invoice hits that criteria, the customer will get sent an email with the information or that chasing letter on there as well. And you can see as we go through, the letters get a little bit stronger in severity, so moderate, strong, and then finally we've got our very strong one here. So what we can also do is we can use these chasers to do what we call multi-tier or multi-level chasers. So the example I always use for this is you wouldn't probably chase Amazon for some outstanding debt in the same way you'd chase myself or Darren for some debt, because, you know, we'll probably get a bit nervous and we'll pay it straight away because we don't want to be chased, whereas Amazon probably get it every day and it doesn't even mean anything to them anymore. So you probably won't want to send the same letter to both of us. You may want to send me a different letter, different wording, and you may want to do something a bit more corporate for your Amazons of the world. So you can do that. You can put people on certain chase cycles, so they only get chased in the way you want to chase them. Now, as much as these run automatically in the background for you, we can trigger them manually, and I'm just going to trigger manually just to show you a little bit of functionality we can do. So we can deselect or select whatever we want. So I'm just going to select a couple. It will then open up our report writer. And what we do is we print these, or the software will print these automatically through our software called Spindle. So if you don't have Spindle, Spindle effectively links to your Sage system and will distribute your documents and customize them, make them look pretty, and send them how you want to send them effectively. And if we do that, we can print through here. And basically what will happen is Spindle will do its thing. It will customize these documents and then it will output them to emails. So if I just fire up my emails, once this is finished processing, just got to give it a sec. What we'll find is in my drafts, we'll get some letters coming in here as well, but you'll see here that a reminder letter has gone out for this customer. And you can see we've branded it, made it look good. We've put the urgent letter. So this is the letter you would have just seen in that report writer. That will be in here. So if we open that up, we've customized this letter, made it look a bit nicer. But we can put your branding on it and do anything you like with that. If I just come back in here. The other clever thing we can do with Spindle is if you're sending your invoices through Spindle in your Sage system, whether it be 50 or 200, we can actually get Credit Hound to go find the invoice and attach it to the chasing letter. So all the invoices that this letter pertains to, we can go grab the invoice and attach it as a PDF document, because the first reason people don't pay any chase is because they'll say, oh, I don't have a copy of the invoice. It's the first thing, and I'm sure you're all sat there nodding your head going, yeah, that's the first thing I hear. Well, we get rid of that straight away and we go and attach the invoice, but you have to be using Spindle to distribute your invoices in the background, because then we can do our bits and bobs in the back that help us then find them later on down the line. So that's definitely something to consider. So yeah, we can attach these invoices to all your chasing letters and make them look nice like that. The other thing we can do with Spindle while we're talking about it from a credit control point of view is when I send a statement out using Spindle, I can actually attach all the invoices relating to the statement if I wanted to, and Spindle will also create me this little age debt down here for the customer if they wanted it. So you could send that to the customer to show them exactly what's going on with their account as well. Perfect. So if I just come out of this, what I need to do now is come out of this. Perfect. So that rule's ran in the background for me now. So hopefully these rules running in the background will have freed up your credit controllers or whoever does the, oh sorry, let's just let that run through. It will free up your people who do your chasing to focus on the really, really bad debt at this point. So you can only automate so much in credit control, and people will always not pay. But we try and cut out the majority of that with our automated chasing. One thing we can do though to help you out and automate your life a little bit more with the manual side of chasing is, once an invoice has got to the end and there's no more letters to be sent, you need to pick up the phone and give these people a call now, we can create telephone chasing lists automatically. So on my one here, it's a very strong, it's the top one. We will add a to-do list item or put it in someone's calendar that they need to call this person once an invoice hits 50 days. But it can be any criteria you choose. So if we just run that and press OK, that's now completed successfully. So what does that look like? If I open up my calendar for today, or for this working week, if we give it just a moment. And what we will see in our calendar in just a moment when it pops up is we will see it's populated our working day with this to-do list. So this is that to-do list that it's been generated, and it's put in little 5-10 minute or 10-minute time slots to give this person a call because they hit this criteria. So as a manager, you don't actually need to worry about what your team are doing too much or how they're working out who they're calling, because the software will work all that out for you effectively. If I open it up as well, we can see here all the information we need for this customer. We can give it a priority. If we want to prioritize those calls, we can reassign it. If I was off ill or Zoe was off ill, I could reassign it to Richard, Lee, or Alicia. I can add notes to it. I can create the original description. So in reality, what we can also do from there is, let's just pick a good one, guys. Once we're ready to call them, what we need to do is we need to go chase the account. So we press chase account. Sorry. Apologies. We chase account, and it takes us to the account screen. So this is my account screen for this company. And what we've got here is a list of all the invoices, whether they're overdue or not due. So in red, it's overdue, green, it's not. We can also see any statistics around this customer. So we can see what their balances are, overdue, disputed. We can see any notes that have been put against the customer as well, against each invoice, sorry. So if there's any notes in there, we would see that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into Festival Homes because I know we've got some good notes in there. Here we go. So we've got some better data in this one. So we've got our chasing stats, so we can see how many times we've put this customer on stop, how many letters we've sent, how many disputes we've sent, how many chases we've sent, and how long we've spent chasing someone on the phone. And that's a really good statistic to use when thinking about how profitable is my chasing, because if you spend 2 days worth of admin time chasing an invoice that's worth £1,000, how much profit is in that invoice now at this point? And you can use these stats to look at that and work that out from here. So as I was saying, this invoice here has a few things assigned to it. So we can see automated letters have been sent out, and then we've called them and they've given us a reason that the check's in the post. So we've then sent them another letter because they didn't pay up. And each one of these has different notes in. So you can see these automated chasing letters. And this one in blue here, this is a bit different. So this is a dispute. This means the invoice is in dispute, the customer's disputed it. So it gets excluded from the chase cycles. So any invoice in dispute will not be sent an email to pay, because we're as a company, we're going to be looking at said invoice. Brilliant. So if I wanted to chase this this invoice here, what I would do is I would come down to this section here. So this section is your company information. So you can see here what their current stats are around overdue, not overdue, non-allocated. We can see their address, their contact details, their age, debt, turnover, any analysis codes we've got for them, any disputed invoices or the history of disputed invoices. And we've also got the ability to add a note to this transaction. We've also got the ability to add a note to the account. Now, when we add a note to the account, we might say something like, don't call on a Thursday because the person dealing with this doesn't work on that day. So it's basically there. So if you're assigned an account, you're off on holiday or ill, someone can come in, see that note and go, right, okay, I know exactly what I need to do with this account because we've got the customer notes there. So when I'm ready to chase this account, I come into my chase screen, I press start chase, continue. And now you'll see a little timer starts ticking up. And that's where we're timing this chase stat here. That's where we're getting that from. So what might be happening is I'm on the phone to Maureen, or if that was different, I could drop it down and say I'm speaking to someone else if they're contacting Credit Hound. And I could say, you know, example notes in here, and I'm on the phone to Maureen, and she says, okay, I promise you £16,000. So I can assign that £16,000 to my promise list. She might say, you know, I'll promise it by a week today, the 14th. And that's great, you know, I can say, okay, fantastic. But if she doesn't pay by a time I specify, so maybe I say you need to pay it by 11 o'clock next Friday. If she doesn't do that, what we will see is on my calendar, it will create a reminder to give her a call because she's promised me some money and it's not been paid by 11 o'clock on that Friday. So it then gives us a trigger to go give someone a call. We can also say reasons for why they've not paid or excuses, whatever you want to call it. And these are completely customizable for you as a company. So we give you some out of the box, but you can basically create these whatever you want. So I'll just say they need a copy invoice. We've got some objections. Again, you can customize if you want to help your callers out. Once I'm happy with this, I'll stop my chase and finish it. And then we've got the option to send them a follow-up letter just to say what was spoken about, etc., etc. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to finish that for now. Brilliant. So if I go back into Festival Homes and look at the invoice, you can see here, example notes, it's created that, changing banks, that's the excuse I gave. So you've got all this information in here now. Now, if I go back to my calendar, and if I come out of there and go to a week next Thursday, we should see a callback at 11 o'clock for that, to chase that debt if it's not been paid to me. So in my calendar now that I've called, if I was to have called Maureen, say one of these was that chase that I did, I could then come in here, I could press complete. Yeah, I've done that now. And that then removes it from my calendar and pops the next one in its place so I can move on to the next chase. So that's basically how we chase more manually. We document things within Credit Hound and then we send bits out to follow up if we need to, and we can create follow-up reminders to chase the debt if necessary. Now, something you may have is you may get invoices put into dispute. So we'll very quickly look at that. And how we do that is we select the invoice or invoices and we add a dispute. Again, completely customizable. I'll press goods faulty. We can then create client notes, test notes, internal. So these are the client notes that the customer is going to see when they receive a letter from us to let them know that the invoice is in dispute. And then the internal notes are actually notes that we're going to send to someone within our organization who's going to be dealing with the dispute. We've got all these options here around, you know, we can create a review date for the dispute. So that's when we're going to chase it up, and that's when we're hoping to resolve it by. We can actually change the amount here as well if needs be. I'll just keep it at the full amount. Who do we assign it to? Who's taking ownership of this? So we're going to send it to, because the goods are faulty, the warehouse manager. We can also then copy in other people as well. So what we might want to do is copy in the MD at this point. We can save and close that. Once we stop our chase, you'll see that we get the option to send these dispute letters. So if I just preview this one. So this is a dispute letter that we send to the customer to let them know that we are chasing them. And basically what it will have is any of those client-facing notes. Let's get that. Dispute notification, yeah, any client notes in there, and it will populate the transaction in here that we're chasing for and give them, you know, some information on who's going to be dealing with the query. We can then send the dispute letter internally, and it will have the internal notes and the client notes, and it will copy in the relevant people to the email so they can actually see exactly what's gone on with this invoice, so they can then start trying to resolve it. So if I finish that, that's fine. And I'm now ready to move on to my next task for the day. If I just jump back in here very quickly, you'll see this dispute now has gone in here with a goods faulty logo. It's blue, which means it's in dispute, so it won't qualify for any more automated chasing until we resolve said dispute. And to resolve the dispute, we just have to right click and press resolve, and then it will track all the data in there. Perfect. That's a little bit on how we do things manually. We've also got some other nice little pieces of functionality within the software. So we have an accounts page. So you can see exactly where your accounts are, who your accounts are, you know, what their balance, credit limits, overdue, what's been not allocated, what if they've got group names. So if we're segregating the data for any reason, you can see it all in here, and you can filter, you can search, you can do whatever you want. You can also add and remove columns to make it make sense for you, because everyone, you know, wants to see data slightly differently. So we give you the ability to do that in here. You can also export to Excel, and at any time you can always go back to that chase screen from this button here. We've also got an age debt, which is a little bit similar. So like I said, no need to run the age debt report anymore in Sage. You can just load it up in here, which is a lot quicker and a bit more interactive. So you can search in here, you can filter by, you know, what's the, show me the 60 days, the worst 60 days, here we go. This is the list. And again, we can add and remove columns if necessary to make it make sense for you. And of course, we can always go back to chase the account from the screen if necessary. We've also got a to-do list. So basically just another way of visualizing your calendar. It's all the same data, just presented in a list format rather than on a calendar. So you can come in here, and these are all these automated ones I created this morning. And there's that callback, or there's a callback somewhere else, and dispute reviews that were generated as well. So we can have a look at who they've been assigned to, who they've been created. We've also got the option in here, just like in the calendar, to reassign if necessary. So if I know I can't do this one, I'm just going to reassign it to Lee, press save, and then that will be removed from my to-do list. So now that should be in Lee's to-do list for him to look at and complete. So as a manager as well, you can come in here and you can look at everyone's list and see what everyone's got to do, maybe on a given day. So you've always got oversight of what's happening with your credit controllers. And then a few other bits just to mention. Any document you send out from Credit Hound, you will have it captured here, so you can grab it, reprint it, download it, do whatever you want with it at this point. Or if the customer's forgotten it or lost it, you can come here and reprint it. We have the option to also give you lots of reporting out of Credit Hound. So we report on basically everything you can see in Credit Hound, so account details, outstanding to-dos, promised cash, transaction dossier, so that's basically every transaction, detailed report, user activity. So we've got all these various reports available to you to run to keep an eye on what's going on with your system. We also have the ability to, if I go into here, to do consolidated chasing. So if you use head office accounting, or you don't but you chase in that way, you can set it up in Credit Hound. So we will only send the chasing letters to the head office rather than the Birmingham, Cardiff, Edinburgh, London and Liverpool branches, who are only going to forward it on anyway. We just skip that. So any invoices that we need to chase for these will all be sent to the head office instead. And that's a really easy setup as well. So we can do head office accounting in here. Perfect. So yeah, everything pretty much you see is customizable, including this dashboard, so we can move it around if we need to. We just try and make it as friendly as possible so it makes sense for everyone and everyone can get ready and get up to speed with the software as quickly as possible. So that was Credit Hound and how it should help you get paid quicker. using this with your software. We do have a website that is called credithound.com, and if you go on there, there is a calculator where you can put in your key information, and you will be able to find out a general idea of how much Credit Hound can save you. So if I come in here and give you a quick idea of what that looks like, come in here, Credit Hound. We come in here, go on the Credit Hound website. We should get a return on investment calculator, and then we can calculate our savings. We haven't made this a crazy calculation. We've kept it fairly conservative. So you just need to come in here, fill out these details just with the little slider, and then calculate the savings, and it will give you an idea in this corner here of how much you will save with Credit Hound. So that's definitely something I would go and check out after this demo. But like I said, if you want to look at it in any more detail or one-on-one and ask any questions, please do feel free to get in contact with myself or Darren, or any of the team at EBS, and we will do our best to help you. Okay. So thank you everyone for joining.
There's a couple of questions actually.
Yeah. Okay.
So one of these has come in. Let me just see if I can read this easily. So if I've got multiple, more than one credit controller, can I automatically allocate specific accounts to the credit controllers?
Definitely. So that's where this group name and category come in. So you can see here I've got a group name of Thomas's accounts. So we can segregate the data based on either Sage information or just information you give us for Credit Hound, and we can say do all the A to D is for Thomas, and he will only be able to see those accounts, and then you filter it per credit controller like that if you want to.
And I've got a couple more here. Can you easily report on the number of calls that your credit controllers are making?
Yeah, for sure. So we have a report here called user activity. If I just run that very quickly, so you can put your time period in. I'm just going to do it for all. And when that runs, what we will see is a report. So Richard and Thomas have been doing nothing, but Zoe has been doing plenty. So we can see here the account. We can see what's gone on. A dispute's been raised. How long were we on the phone to them for? Who was it for? And what I want to say about this is it's not to purely check what your accountants or your controllers are doing. It's more for that profitable accounting, or to see, have we got a problem with Festival Homes because we're spending hours and hours with them, so we need to chase them maybe in a different way. So yeah, you've got that report here if you need it, so you can see everything that's going on from here.
And there's one from me actually, which is I know that there are 3 different license types available.
There are, correct.
Could you just run through what each of those gives you?
Yeah, of course. So
Thanks.
we have 3 license types, and the first one is a full license. Now that enables you to do everything within the system. So come in here and basically do everything that I've done today. So automated chasing, manual chasing, running reports, running all the other screens, adding notes, putting things into dispute. That's your full user. That's your full-time credit controller, effectively. We then have a smaller license called a BI user, and effectively a BI user can log in, see this information, they can go into the accounts screen, say, and they can look at all of this, and they can add notes to a transaction or to an account itself. What they can't do is chase. They won't be allowed to chase anything. So that's the key difference there. So that's really good for management, FDs, whoever. They just need oversight of what's going on, and rather than relying on reports, they can come in here and do this and look at these screens, and if they do want to run a report, they will be allowed to from here. Then finally, we've got what we call a limited user, and all a limited user can do is log in. They won't see any of this. They'll only see the account screen. They'll be able to log into the account screen and add notes to a transaction, and that is, or an account, and that's all they can do. We usually see that with, say, sales teams or someone who a dispute's been assigned to, who needs to just come in and maybe add a note to the record. That tends to be that sort of user, to be honest with you. So there are 3 types, but the best people to talk to is myself, team at EBS. They'll be able to advise anyone on what license types you will need moving forward. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Of course.
I think
Yep.
I mean there are obviously significant advantages to utilising the Credit Hound product in terms of reducing your debtor days and keeping control of your debtors a lot easier than just really sort of using your age debt report in Sage 50 or Sage 200 to make your calls from.
Exactly.
So great. So yeah, if we have recorded this, so we will send out the recording to all of you. And if there are any specific questions that you have, please feel free to send them back to myself, Darren. So thanks for attending, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Thank you very
Take
much.
care.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.